You matter. And completing the 2020 census matters to Decatur, Macon County. Completing the 2020 census is critical for us to receive the funding that's necessary for job training, better health care, better schools, and services such as food assistance and housing. It's easy and it just takes a few minutes to complete. Go to 2020census.gov, fill out the 2020 census, and let your voice be heard today. Welcome to Speak Up, Speak Out, a weekly online forum to discuss issues facing our community and working towards ways to act real change. I'm your moderator, Terrence Tat Taylor, radio personality and DJ on Hot 105.5, Essential Skills Instructor with the Enrich program at Richland Community College, and the Director of Community Investment at the Community Foundation of Macon County, and a census taker. Yeah, all of the jobs. Topics weekly on Speak Up, Speak Out will include everything from community action, mental health, family communication, and more. You can catch Speak Up and Speak Out every Saturday on our Hot 105.5 Facebook page, as well as nowdecatur.com. I want to take this second, of course, to thank those that make this forum possible each and every week. That's Crossing Healthcare, Community Foundation of Macon County, United Way of Decatur and Mid-Illinois, Neuhoff Media, and the City of Decatur. You, the audience, are invited to join us, to participate. We want you to speak up and speak out with us. Submit your questions to speakoutdecatur@gmail.com. That's speakoutdecatur@gmail.com. Our direct message on the Hot 105.5 Facebook page as well. I want to introduce this week's special guest, my main man, Macon County Clerk Josh Tanner. Today's topic is voting, how to register, how to find your polling place, how to get a mail-in ballot, how it all works, debunking some false information, and getting straight down to the nitty-gritty. So thank you, Josh, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tat. Appreciate it.
Now let's get straight into it. Now, for all of those out there, this is election year, and it's super important, and we want to know, how do we go about the whole process of registering the mail-in ballots? I know that's been a huge conversation within my household and my family household as well. How do we go about, first and foremost, how do we register or make sure we're registered?
Most people are probably already registered if you have a driver's license or you've interacted with the state in any way, fishing license, hunting license, any of those kind of things. Because of the automated voter registration system, anytime you interact with the state, you're given the opportunity to register to vote. So most people are. If you're not sure, you can go to our county website. It's co.macon.il.us. There's a little circle there called elections. That'll take you to the links to find out whether you're registered to vote, where your polling place is. It has all the information about the election. So like I say, most people probably are registered, but you can go online and go to our website. It'll give you links on how to check that. If you don't have internet, you can call our office, 424-1333, and just ask. We'll look you up in the system and make sure you're ready to go on election day.
Awesome. And now with the mail-in ballots, how is that process? Because for me, it's something that's new for me. I always vote early, and we'll talk about that as well. But how does that process work? Because I've gotten the little cards and stuff, and there's just been a lot of misinformation, even in my family. Like, I don't want to mail-in vote because then it won't count or something funky is going to happen, So it's just a lot of fear behind the mail-in voting. Can you talk about on that?
Sure. Mail-in voting is not new. We've been doing it for quite a while. Military members and people overseas have been voting by mail for a long time. We've had absentee voting in the past, where if you were going to be out of the county during the election period, you could request a mail-in ballot and then mail it back in. But for probably at least 6 or 8 years, we have had no excuse voting. So you don't need an excuse to vote by mail now. If you want to vote by mail, you just request a vote by mail ballot. A lot of people have different reasons for doing that. It could be you're going to be out of town. It could be you don't get out of the home very well, or you don't travel very well. It could be that you just want to take some extra time to fill your ballot out and you're not exactly sure about the candidates. You want to look them up on the computer or look them up some other way while you're in the comfort of your own home. And you may take a day or two to decide, make all your decisions on what you're going to vote for. The vote by mail process starts by you requesting a vote by mail ballot. So in Illinois, we don't automatically mail ballots to voters. They have to request it. And like you said, I mailed out a postcard to everyone who voted in one of the last 3 elections. All they had to do was fill the postcard out, fold it over the other direction. It had my address on it on the other side, and then they could just mail it back in. You can also go online. If you receive the postcard, the web address was listed there. You could go online. You're basically filling out the same information and submitting it that way. You could call our office and get the web address, or you can call our office if you have specific questions about vote by mail. A lot of people are confused, and it is new for a lot of people, and that's because the postcard generated a lot of interest. And the reason the postcard went out was because obviously COVID, and a lot of people are concerned about congregating in the polling place on election day.
Most definitely. As definitely, because COVID is real. So we want to make sure that we keep ourselves safe and healthy. Now, debunking some of the, I've heard people say, I'm not going to, it's going to affect the election because of someone's going to use someone who passed away, a deceased. That's not true. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the vote by mail for, like I say, the last presidential election. The rules were exactly the same, except for I didn't send you a postcard last presidential election. You know, if you were going to try and commit fraud like that, which certainly we're hoping nobody tries anything like that, and it is incredibly rare that people commit fraud like that, you would have to know the person's personal information. You would have to send in a request. We would mail that request to you. You'd have to fill the ballot out, and you would have to forge their signature to make it look relatively reasonable, to look similar to their signature, and then send it back in. Additionally, most people request a vote by mail ballot at their registered address, so you'd have to be, I guess, picking up their mail, and that would all be just for one vote. And so it's just not as common as people want to think it is. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. Are there instances where we detect fraud? There certainly are. That certainly happens every election. But it's very, very few instances.
Yeah. So for all of those who are like, it's going to be, you know, a bunch of fraud. It's more of a headache and work to get that one extra vote in the first place. And there's always legal action as well. And with that, now with early voting, that's something that I do. Can people early vote? When is that now?
So a lot of people were confused when we sent the postcard out. They thought that they had to vote by mail. Election day voting and early voting will happen just like they did in the last election. You can come in and early vote beginning September 24th. Which is also the same day that we will mail out the vote by mail ballots. So everything begins September 24th for voting, whether in person at the county building early or mailing the vote by mail ballot. The only difference with the vote by mail is we are encouraging people to return that as soon as possible. Don't hold on to it. The mail system is not perfect, and so mail does take time depending on where you live, and so the vote by mail ballot has to be postmarked no later than election day, and we have 2 weeks after election day to receive that. If we receive it after the 2 weeks, whether it was postmarked on election day or not, it won't be counted. If we receive it after election day and it's not postmarked on election day, then it won't be counted. So it's important for the voters to understand they need to turn those ballots in as soon as they are able to.
Yes, as soon as possible. Don't sit on it. Don't let it pile up in your pile of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you put it on the kitchen counter and then it sits there for a couple of weeks. And if you get down to where you've requested a vote by mail ballot and you have let it sit on the kitchen counter for a while, My suggestion is, if it gets close to election day, to bring it in
Okay.
person. You can do that. You can also designate someone else to bring it in. They'll have to sign an affidavit, and you'll have to sign an affidavit. It's on the envelopes that you're mailed. But if it gets close to election day, I would say don't take the chance of it not receiving it by the mail. Bring it in personally.
Boom. Um, and another thing that is important for election day and just for the early voting, are you currently looking at having poll workers? I've heard that there's a shortage of poll workers. Is that true? Are you looking?
Yeah, there's always a shortage of election judges. Typically they're manned by people who are retired,
Yeah.
uh, and as those people age, they're just unable to continue to help us. We need between 200 and 300 poll workers, depending on which election it is, and
Hmm.
so it's always nice to have extra poll workers. I shared something on my Facebook page. They're trying to September 1st is like poll worker recruitment day, and
Hmm.
so they're making a big push to get people who are probably younger and less vulnerable to COVID
Yeah.
to come out and work the polls. If you want to work in Macon County, you'll have to take a 2-hour training, which we provide. There's no charge on that, and then you'll help set up the polling place prior to election day, the day before election day, getting all the booths out and getting everything set up, the tables and chairs and everything, and then you'll show up on election day at 5 a.m.
Hmm.
And hopefully you will be done at 8 or 9 p.m. So it is a long day, and which is
It's
why.
paid for, right?
What's that?
Well, you get paid to be there, right?
You do. It's $150.
Dang.
It is. Most people are not doing it for the pay, though.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
not great pay. It's not. If you're looking to make extra money this summer, this is probably not the way to do it. But
Yeah.
it is a way of us, acknowledging that it is a lot of work. It is important. Most people who are doing it are just interested in being part of the process and making sure that the process works smoothly.
Most definitely. I personally have been champion young people to get more involved, not just in exercising their right to vote, but to also participate and volunteer and make that $150.
Right. It is kind of a pay it forward system. I mean, people
Yeah.
of an older generation have put in the time and effort,
Mhm.
so that younger people can vote,
Yeah.
that the process is open and fair for everyone. And eventually, younger people have to take over those reins and put the time in so that the generation below them are able to vote in a free and fair election.
Yes, most definitely. So, and how do they go about that? If they want
They
to.
just call our office, 424-1333, and we will. They obviously have to be a registered voter, so we're going to check to make sure they're a registered voter. If not, we can get them registered to vote, and then we will send them a letter letting them know all of the details and the class dates, and they can sign up and get the training and get started.
See, young people, this is a call to action. Young people, you are needed, uh, and we definitely want you to participate and be involved in this process because it is important. Um, Now, with the on election day, break down that process because I know that there are individuals that will wait until election day uh, um, to cast their vote. Some people make it like a celebratory thing. That's why they wait until the day of. Um, but can you break down what to expect as far as I tell people all the time, you're going to wait in line. What else should they have with them? Is there anything that's needed on election day or anytime you come in?
So on election day, yeah, obviously the lines are the longest on election day, and so early voting is obviously less lines. Mail-in voting, you don't have to wait in line at all. Election day, there'll be lines. They do generally move pretty quickly. If you're coming at lunchtime, obviously it's busier. If you're coming after work, it's a little busier. And the very first thing in the morning is always kind of busy as well.
Yeah.
We'll obviously be practicing social distancing. You'll need to wear a mask to protect everyone that's there. Um, The process should work pretty smoothly. You'll go in, you'll just give one of the election judges your name and address. They'll make sure that you are a registered voter and that you're in the right precinct or polling place. You'll sign saying, I'm here to vote. They'll issue you a ballot. One of the things that's important is to make sure that the judges put their initials on the top right-hand corner of the ballot. Mm-hmm. That signifies that it was an officially authorized ballot and that you are now able to vote. You'll go into the voting booth, you'll vote. It's also important that you fill out the ballot correctly. Don't put X's, don't put check marks, fill in the oval completely. It takes a little bit of extra time, but you want to make sure that your vote counts, and so you have to fill out the ballot correctly. You'll fill out the ballot correctly. You'll take it to the tabulator. You will put it in there yourself. The election judge sitting at the tabulator is just going to want to make sure that the judge's initials are on it. You'll put it into the tabulator. There are instances where people do not vote for all the races, and we're required to kick the ballot out and inform them you didn't vote for all the races. It's completely fine. You don't have to vote for any of the races if you don't want to. You can vote for some, none, all of them, but we're required to notify you that you undervoted certain races. If it kicks it back out and you want to review it, fine. If you don't want to review it, you just put it back in and it goes in the second time.
Okay. Oh, and that was a question I was going to ask. Do you have to vote for everything?
No, your ballot is cast for each individual race. So if you decide you don't want to vote for a particular race, you don't have to. You could go in and vote for nothing if you wanted. You'd be casting an empty ballot, but that's certainly your right to vote for whatever races that you want to vote for. If you have trouble with the machine, don't get frustrated and give up. Obviously, this is technology. It doesn't, sometimes it fights with us a little bit, but don't give up on your vote so easily, and don't get frustrated, and certainly don't get embarrassed. The election judges are there to help. They want to make sure that you cast your vote. So don't give up too easily. If something doesn't go 100% right on the first go round, the judges will work with you to make sure that you get to cast your ballot for the races that you want to.
Yes, I love that you brought that up because we're humans and get frustrated, but this vote period is important. Voting is that important that we like you said, don't get embarrassed or feel like you're being rushed. Take your time, fill it out correctly, make sure everything is legit and all together, so we can let our voices be heard in our vote. Is there anything else you want to elaborate on?
If you make a mistake on the ballot, they will spoil that ballot and give you a brand new one. If you make 5 mistakes, they'll do it 5 times. So it's going to happen. You make mistakes, you get off one line. Ask for another ballot. They're completely okay with that. That's not a problem. They'll spoil that ballot. You will put it into a spoiled ballot envelope, and you'll sign saying I spoiled this and I want another one. They'll give you another one. If you make another mistake, they'll do it again. Take your time at the polling place. I mean, don't be in a rush to get it done, and don't give up if you get a little frustrated. Sometimes voters, they get a little frustrated or embarrassed and then they leave. Yeah, don't do that. I mean, you've already taken the time to come out. Go ahead and finish the process up. And the judges, they've seen it all. Some of them have been working there 20, 30 years, so they've seen it all. They've been through lots of different things. Go ahead and keep after it and make sure you get to cast your ballot and put it in to the tabulator. If you request a vote by mail ballot and you don't mail it back in and you want to vote on election day, you need to bring that ballot with you. You have been issued your ballot. You need to surrender your ballot so that they can issue you another ballot and you can vote on election day. If you don't bring your ballot with you, if you leave it on the kitchen counter where it's been for 40 days, you're still going to be allowed to vote, but you're going to vote provisionally, which means your voting experience is not going to be as fun. There's going to be more paperwork, more time, and your vote won't be counted on election day. It will be counted at the final canvass, which is 2 weeks after election day. So once you've been issued your mail-in ballot, either mail it in, bring it into our office, or bring it with you on election day. That way you can surrender it and get another ballot.
Yeah. So what we're saying is, as soon as you get it, send it back ASAP. Don't let it sit there. uh, what I would do, I put all the important stuff like on the magnet on my refrigerator, so I can
Right.
always. Anything else, Josh, that we should know that are debunk, because you've been answering a lot of questions before I even ask them.
Well, I mean, I just want to. My biggest concern with the mail-in voting is not us handling the mail. It's not the mail service. It's people just not asking enough questions. If you're new to mail-in voting, we don't. I mean, the directions are all mailed to you, but
Mm-hmm.
if you have questions, call us. We want to make sure that everybody gets to vote and they vote properly and that their vote counts. So, um, again, if you want to early vote and you have questions about that, call in. We'll answer whatever questions you have. I think sometimes people just don't want to admit that they don't understand a new process. It's a new process. You're not going to understand it right away. So ask whatever questions you have. Again, our number is 424-1333. Call us, ask whatever questions you have. There's no stupid questions. It's new for a lot of people to vote by mail, and so the only bad question is the one that you don't ask.
Ooh, perfect. Thank you, Josh. Yes, so make sure, and then September 24th is when we can start early voting, right?
Correct. Yep. If you're trying to avoid crowds, I would suggest not coming first thing and not coming at lunchtime. So 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock tend to be the slower times. If you are wanting to early vote and you come in the day before election day, there's going to be a line. So early voting, again, don't wait to early vote. If you want to early vote, come in the first week or two of early voting. If you wait down to the last day, there'll be a line. We will make sure that everybody in the line gets through the line. But if you're looking for a quicker voting experience, earlier is better.
Boom, earlier is better. Assume nothing, ask questions, and yeah, don't give up so easy.
Exactly. A lot of people paid a high price for everyone to be able to vote, and don't waste that opportunity.
That's facts. Well, this has been Speak Up and Speak Out. I want to thank my very special guest, Macon County Clerk Josh Tanner, for joining us this week. Thank you, Josh. I am Terrence Tat Taylor. Remember, you can catch Speak Up, Speak Out every Saturday at noon on Hot 105.5, our Facebook page, and enacting.com. But you can also join in on the conversation anytime. Email your questions, thoughts, and topics to speakoutdecatur@gmail.com. That's speakoutdecatur@gmail.com. Message us on our Hot 105.5 Facebook page directly. Thank you again to our sponsors, Crossing Healthcare, the Community Foundation of Macon County, United Way of Decatur and Mid-Illinois, Neuhoff Media, and of course our great city of Decatur. And last thing, before we go, please speak up and be counted. I'm out here in these streets making sure, as a census taker, that everyone's being accounted for. The census is critical for our community to receive funding for everything from job training, better schools, better health care, and important services like food distribution and housing assistance. It takes 4 minutes to complete 9 easy questions. Go to 2020census.gov and be heard today. Thank you, Josh.
Every 10 years, the U.S. Census gives communities across America the chance to get the funding they need. But there's a catch. The money is based on counting an accurate number of residents in each state. The fewer people we count, the less money Illinois gets. Illinois has received nearly $60 billion from the federal government based on numbers from the last census. Every person who doesn't fill out the census means less money for Illinois. That's money we could use for new school programs to help our children thrive and succeed, for building new bridges that would help you travel safely on your morning commute, for paving roads and ensuring more reliable public transportation, and for improving our hospitals and clinics so everyone gets the best health care. In Illinois, we deserve our fair share, and it starts with all of us being counted. Visit my2020census.gov or text 987-987 to learn how you can fill out the census today.